Is it still mirrored? Are the cars driving on the wrong side of the road here? But the problem is, if I have it in selfie mode like this, for some reason YouTube the last few times has flipped it. But anyway, welcome to Deep Elm, which is Deep Elm, but Texans stretched it out. It was Elm Street, the corridor over here, and then as people went on, they'd say, "Oh, it's Deep Elm, Deep Elm, Deep Elm," and then now it's Deep Elm, E-L-L-U-M. But a neighborhood with downtown Dallas, right on the other side of this bridge. And you caught me a few minutes before I was ready, so I'm also still setting up the mic here. The disaster of how the audio sounded on the Las Vegas stream. You super chatted me so much that I was able to buy one of these things. So this is pretty cool. So I can plug this in, I can turn it on. I think it turns itself on. I plug this into the phone. The phone holder I got. It's going to get interesting here. Well, they do that. This is now where you can hear me. So if you can hear me, clap your hands. Do 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 do. And if you can't hear me, I've done something wrong. Clap, clap. Okay, good. Well, if you're just joining, welcome to the Deep Elm neighborhood. Deep Elm in downtown Dallas. And the Freeway Viaduct behind me, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat or something. Not quite sounding like myself quite yet. The Freeway Viaduct behind me here, Texas built it in 1968, and it took this part of downtown that was part of downtown and cut it off from the rest of downtown. And now the question is, maybe it's time to do something and fix it. So. And now I got to get set up on this end so I can read what you're writing, so I can see what's going on here. So, oh, it's playing some YouTube short. Oh, that's fun. Hopefully that didn't kill the battery. Okay, so I go to my channel, I click on my live stream, I pause the live stream so I can look at just the chats. And all right, we got all kinds of claps going on here. Frogster writes, where did you get an Interstate Highway 30 hat? Somebody on Etsy was making the patches here, and my mom sewed it on. So even at my age, I said, hey, I bought these black hats. I tried ironing them on, and they just fall off. And so she sat down one night with, well, probably over many nights, with the clear string, and just, you know, got it on there. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so a few things today. Right now, temperature in Dallas is 95 with the dew point at, I think, 72. So some modifications to my costume today. You'll notice I'm not wearing my dress shirt. I also wasn't wearing it in Atlanta. But also, you can see, shorts, because it is hot, and throughout the evening tonight, I have my cup of water here and about a gallon of ice water in there. I'm going to keep topping this thing off. I may have to top it up here pretty soon. Let's go find somewhere shady and start talking about this bridge here. And as we do, see if there's a hello from Hawaii, right? C-Dubs, good to see you again. Davis 9754, you know this intersection because you say, oh, I forgot to mention Good Latimer and Maine recently got new traffic lights. So you know this area here. I think it's kind of funny because Good Latimer makes it sound sort of almost like a, oh, I don't know what it would be, but it's like, oh, you know, the TV show where they're like, you know, the good doctor or whatever. It's like, you know, the good Latimer, as opposed to 2 blocks away we have bad Latimer. So, okay, but we'll find some shade. Humidity, shade only goes so far, but it's a good start. Did I get my car locked? I have to hit the remote once we get across the street here. Okay, and a little bit of shade here at this corner. Make sure my car's locked. Okay, good. So over across the street here, you can see the deep Elm sign in the median. It's all new to me. I don't know Dallas that well. Pardon me. Everything is backwards again. I know. Once we get settled down, I'll flip the camera the other way, and I won't be able to see myself, but that's all right. At least it's a YouTube thing, and you'd think a company whose business it is making sure, you know, people can make money off of sending out videos and YouTube shorts and live streams, that they'd have it working. But apparently it's a glitch that they introduced, and just some of the new phones, ever since I switched to some of these newer Samsung phones, it's had this problem. So, okay, so if you drive on Interstate 345 here and you're in a car, it's glorious. Let me flip this around so you can, we'll make the world. Oh, what's going on here? It's blocking the camera. Oh, man. So, okay, we're going to try something else here. I was trying to have it hold the phone in the direction of the phone. If that's not going to work, we'll hold it. No, it won't hold it this way. Well, this is going to be an interesting night. So I lost some of my equipment. So you can see here, this is the part that holds the phone, and I purchased it today at a random Walmart to get it, because I think I lost a bag of equipment on this trip, because I have a really nice all metal one I think I got on Amazon that works really well and holds things. So the problem I run into is if I, well, do some troubleshooting here, try to figure out a way to make the camera work. All right, if we do, push the button, slide this thing out, go way up high, push it, barely holding it. Okay, well. Oh, you can see the full picture of what's going on here. So I've got the mic thing. Okay, maybe this will work. I don't know. So now I can pull this phone and use this phone to see if I'm lined up, or if the world's still backwards. Now I look like I'm on a green screen. Okay, so that's fun. Okay, well, anyway, we'll see how long this lasts. Okay, so Eddie suggests Micro Center in Richardson is 25 miles north. Yeah, I would love to have done that, but I didn't, and now I'm regretting it. So anyway, we'll see how long I make this phone holder work, and we'll figure something out. Okay, so backstory on this gigantic viaduct here. Line approaching you in the distance. You're up high. I think it's a wetland area where the storm runoff area, you know. And you're on this viaduct, and you're flying up high in the air. And then as you approach downtown, especially now that there's been redevelopment on the Deep Ellum side, you have high-rise buildings on both sides, and you're just sailing above it. It's wonderful. It's just like I say, it's a glorious experience in a car. But the problem is okay, at that point you want to come down to the ground and use the land that's down here and put it to work. And we'll walk around this tonight and check it out, this viaduct of things Dallas have done, the city, to a lot of smart thinking into trying to make this viaduct as friendly as it can be. But emotionally what's happening is it's splitting the town into two pieces. And so the urban planners in the room, you're raising your hand and you might be saying, well, just tear it down. San Francisco did that and it was great. But the problem is, there's, I have the number, but 85% of the trips on this viaduct are not heading to downtown, nor did they start downtown. It's somebody south of here who wants to end up north of here, and they go right through. 85%, only 15% start or end in this downtown area. So that's a big difference from other freeway tear outs like San Francisco, where like almost everybody who drove on the Embarcadero Freeway was using it to get to and from downtown. So at that point, just start downtown earlier and just don't have the freeway. So what options do the Texas Department of Transportation and the city of Dallas have to play with this bridge going forward? And it's a question that started quite a while ago. And I think what prompted it, if we're totally honest, because this, usually what happens with a bridge like this is it reaches the end of its usable life. San Francisco, the Embarcadero Freeway, that double-decker freeway that they tore out in the 90s, well, there had been a big earthquake in 1989, and a lot of the double-deckers had collapsed, and the Embarcadero one was broken. And so it poses a question of going, well, if we're going to put tens or hundreds of millions of dollars into a viaduct to fix it up, maybe we start evaluating our options now of replacing it. It's kind of like, you think of the infrastructure as kind of like owning a car. You're at that point where you're questioning, do I dump $4,000 into a new transmission, or do I just sell the car and buy another car, right? But this viaduct is not in that position. This is not something that's all worn out and ready to be replaced. This thing's actually in pretty good shape. So it's kind of interesting that Dallas would proactively 10, 15 years ago even start asking the question about should we tear this thing out and replace it with something, when it's still actually, and we'll take a look at it here, it's in pretty nice shape. It's the beams aren't all rusted. You don't see holes. There aren't cracks in the deck here. And my phone, I think, is just about to fall off because of the precarious way we have it mounted right now. But it's got to be a way to mount this thing here. Okay, what if I turn? Okay, I'm going to unplug my mic and plug it back in. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear me here in a second. Okay, put it in like that. Okay, and then, yeah, this might work. Okay, so we're looking under the bridge deck there, and look at the columns. I mean, they're just in great shape. The well painted. You know, this for something that's built in 1968, it looks really good. Like I say, no holes in the deck, no even rust spots. I mean, these bridges are in a good position. So, okay, what made Texas in the first place say, okay, well, we ought to even start looking at this thing? They had a big study where they said downtown Dallas, it's like a big loop. You know, if you look on the map, you've got Interstate 30 on the south, and I think 35W on the west, and there's a spur freeway on the north, and of course this one on the, what would this be, the east side, right? And so if we're gonna look at moving traffic in and around downtown Dallas, we're probably gonna have to do it in a way where we look at everything kind of all together as a system and not just looking at one component of it, right? And so they called that the city map. That was back in 2016. And part of City Map, they said, you know, there's a lot of potential development for land here in this part. Like, parking today was far too easy. It was easier than it should have. I think I'm parking for I think I bought 10 hours of parking just to be safe, and it was like $13. You know, in Boston, I spent more than that for about 20 minutes of parking. When we did if you remember the Boston live stream, which is fitting considering the constraints Dallas has to deal with are very similar to what Boston did with the Big Dig. But if you years ago watched the Boston live stream, I didn't park for that. The land in Boston is so expensive that parking the car would have been $100 for the night or more. I think it would have been more because I remember that had the Celtics were playing, and so it was very crowded. So I came in on the train, on the T. But with Dallas, there's an enormous amount of parking near this viaduct. Well, that tells me that there's land that the city could be making more money off of. Because parking it makes a little bit of money, but it doesn't make an enormous amount of money. Boy, when I look at this, it sure looks like I'm on a green screen. There's not enough motion behind me. I guess you could see the traffic moving, but I really am here. You can pound on the railing there. Okay, so I wish I could put you in the car and drive you up there, but if you want to kind of see what it's like up high, and I'm going to have to line this up because I don't really have a viewfinder yet. But you have the big viaduct there. So Interstate 30 is to the south. That's the big freeway interchange at the bottom of the screen. We're standing just a little bit beyond that. You can see Deep Ellum on the right side, downtown on the left. And there are these big frontage roads on both sides. That's such a Texas thing, right? Where you have the getting on and off the freeway. You don't exit straight to the perpendicular street. You exit to a parallel one-way road next to it. Well, downtown has these big frontage roads as well. Hopefully we'll walk around tonight. You can see some of them too. But it uses an enormous amount of land. You have all these different bridges. And so as you're looking at all the different options, they started, I think, about 2018 with a feasibility study of saying, look, if we're going to do something with this downtown bridge, what can we do? And you can see that this first option here is no build, leave it alone. Because this thing still has 25 years of life left in it, so it's not like it needs to be thrown out today. It's not the Alaska Way viaduct in Seattle, right, where they were concerned about it falling down in an earthquake. They don't get earthquakes here. Now, who knows, the way you build roads outside of the West, maybe this would fall down in an earthquake, but it won't, because it's Dallas. I was under my sister's house, and she lives in Arkansas, and it was interesting to see so many things under the house that are just toenailed in with a single nail, rather than having, big Simpson strong tie fasteners and things, because the house should never have a big force pushing it sideways like an earthquake, and so it all sits on gravity. And I just laughed because in California or Utah, Washington State, you never would build a house that way because it would fall down. So okay, so we look at the you guys are having a good chat here. It won't, because it's Dallas, is a fantastic explanation, writes Frogster88. That's funny. Do I do regular live streams? Well, I'm trying to do them a little bit more because they're fun. To me, a live stream is sort of it's a treat. It's dessert because it's fun to jump in and chat with you and walk around a city. But it doesn't feel like a dessert today because it's hot. So they got looking at saying, okay, well, what if we just got rid of the viaduct entirely? So they have an option here called removal, which again I have to look to make sure it lines up so you can actually see it here. Removal, we can see all the little purple lines there. So we'd get to Interstate 45, we'd just sort of end at Interstate 30, and then you can keep coming through and you just sort of would end up getting dumped into the city grid. And this is amazing because with all of that freeway space gone, look at all that land that you can now sell off or lease out or whatever it is the state and the city want to do. You can put that land to work. It can start generating tax revenue, economic activity, jobs, you know, help cut down on crime because now there's people, you know. I mean, this would be amazing, except for the study found one problem with it. And I find the exact number here. But the number of cars that go straight through on the freeway is 180,000 a day. 180,000 cars a day are starting somewhere south of I-30 or east and west on I-30, coming through here, not stopping downtown. They keep going onward because this connects Interstate 45, which comes from Houston up, ends here, and at that spur freeway on the other side of downtown, a couple miles up, that's US 75, which if you've been following along at home, US 75 2 videos ago was the Tulsa football goalposts, where Interstate 44 and US 75 meet in Tulsa. That's that same freeway. So it comes down from Tulsa through southern Oklahoma, northern Texas, ends up here at downtown Dallas. It's probably a route that should have been part of the interstate highway system. So we basically, for US 75, kind of have to think of it as an interstate because that's basically what it does. So imagine in a way that you have an interstate highway that ends here at I-30, and you have what should be another interstate highway ending like 2 miles up. And then we come in, well intended as we are, and tear all of this down and put all the roads down on the ground, which is good for us here in the city, but it's bad for everybody else who want to be from that interstate to that quasi-interstate, and now they can't. Their alternative is to get on merge onto I-30, go all the way around downtown to I-35W, or 35E, and then come back to the spur freeway and then around US 75. So they looked at all these different options that they have, and I'll keep showing you more here. But most of the options to change this viaduct, if you look ahead to the future, and I think it was the year 2050, the extra hours of traffic that you're going to have on this viaduct, because you're not going to be able to solve it, right? But you can kind of keep it at bay, keep it moving as best you can. It's a through route, so I mean, this is the place where cars are supposed to go. Most of the options increase traffic through population growth. The traffic increases about 2 hours a day. It's not too bad. It's kind of keeping it at bay. Want to take a guess? Removal, how many hours a day of traffic it adds? Just wait for the chat to catch up and see if I have some guesses, because I've got the number here. Ian writes, when will you release a video on the I-70 Parklet project in Denver? I almost did a couple of years ago. I was all set to go to Colorado in, I think, October of 2023. I mean, CDOT was ready, they were excited, but I guess they got busy, and I got busy too, and so I messaged them and said, hey, I'm gonna be kind of heading up that way, let's do this, and they didn't write back, and then I called and they went to voicemail, and so I just sort of let it slide, but I'll be back at it. CDOT seemed pretty enthusiastic of wanting to do that video. And second to that, would be fun is, I guess in concrete, they put metal rebar that the concrete hangs on to. It helps because when the concrete is getting stretched this way, the rebar adds strength, and then when the concrete gets squished, the concrete itself, tension and compression, engineers call that. But the problem is that concrete itself will last forever, but because it's just rock and limestone and stuff like that. But the metal rebar inside it, if water finds its way to the rebar, it rusts the rebar swells, then that cracks up the concrete, and then the concrete goes bad. So this one company that was doing work in Colorado was trying to use little pieces of, I think, fiberglass or graphite or something like that. And they played with some of that on the I-70 project. So when they rebuilt I-70, including the cap on top, they used this as an experiment. And they also, the city of Denver did, I think, Spear Boulevard through Denver. They played with some of this graphite. So I want to do that story too, but not right now. I have been away from home for 2 months, filming videos through the rest of the year. The Atlanta live stream a month and a half ago, that was this same trip. So I'm on my way home, but couldn't help myself. Wanted to show you guys this. Okay, taking guesses. 3 hours. Anthony Peters is closer with 100 hours, but the problem is there's not that much time in a day. The answer is 19 hours. So if you remove this viaduct and without significant rerouting of traffic going way out of its way, which probably would happen, which then creates new problems somewhere else, the traffic trying to come up from Houston and keep going to Tulsa would add 19 hours of traffic a day. So that kind of acts as ripping it out. So if you get looking at their goals, their goals of this project is they're saying, well, we want to be able to make the wall aspect of this freeway go away. So keeping the freeway here is not really an option because it creates a wall. And it's also, this is a lot to maintain. The bridge is in good shape, but it's going to get older and older and older. They think it's got about 25 years of life left. Well, if you think about a human or a car or anything else, it's that last like 10 to 15% of its lifespan where it starts getting very expensive, and you start, you know, you go on Medicare, and then all of a sudden you're having to put in a new transmission. I think I'm mixing those up, but anyway. That's what's going to happen with this bridge, is right now there's probably a significant amount of maintenance TxDOT spends on keeping this in good shape, but it's still in relatively good shape. It's 75-year lifespan and 50 years in, right? But the last third of its life, the next 25 years, may start getting very expensive. So keeping this, you kind of have to rule that out. Okay. Removal, tearing it all out, making a big grid of city streets. Well, that got axed because nobody wants 19 hours of traffic, and especially if a lot of that 19 hours of traffic is on the city streets here. Well, that also could kill your downtown because it's still kind of a wall, right? Where you try to walk from Deep Ellum to downtown right now, all of that traffic's flying over my head, and so I can safely walk. It just feels kind of creepy because I'm going under a bridge. But if all that traffic's now revving at a red light, you know, ready to go, it's like, no, that's not good either. So they ruled that out. So option 3. I have to get my notes here. I have papers going everywhere. I tell you, the 100-degree heat makes everything about this more complicated. This is the hottest, including Atlanta, this is the hottest live stream I've ever done, including last summer, where I was supposed to go out and show you Boulder Highway in Las Vegas to show you what life is like when it was, I think, 118 degrees. It rained on us and it was lovely. No such luck today. It's just, it is humid. All right. So we talked about removal. Oh, here's another one they threw out. Well, if the bridge is getting old and we're going to need to replace it, why not just build a new viaduct? There you go. So, yeah, then you have this beautiful new viaduct, and you say, well, that's a dumb idea. Why would they do that? And you're not wrong, because if one of the goals is, again, to remove this emotional barrier dividing the town in half, then building a new barrier, well, that wouldn't help. If the goal is to try to get more of the land here on the ground to be economically viable and make money for the city, well, what's the point in that? And that's actually where there's an advantage. Because we go back to the original conditions, whatever page that was on. I had it here. There it is. Leave it alone. Remember we were talking about it has all these different like frontage roads. And so this section here gets really wide. I mean, look at how wide that part in the middle is there. But if you do the plan to build a new viaduct, you can just tear all those frontage roads out. You can rebuild the viaduct to be what you actually want it to be, which is something that lets you build that network of connected streets underneath it in a cohesive way that they did in the 1968. There's a lot of retrofitting of this viaduct that's kind of hilarious. Hopefully we'll see it later tonight as we walk around, where they built what they thought they needed, and it turned out it wasn't quite what they needed, and now we've ended up with something that's kind of weird that has a lot of band-aids on it. So there's an on-ramp over there coming off one of those big frontage roads that comes onto the freeway going southbound toward I-345. But I guess, I haven't driven it yet, there might be barely enough time that as you enter on the left-hand side, you could cut all the lanes and grab the ramp for Interstate 30. And I would want to do that, right? I'm downtown and I want to get on I-30. Then yeah, I'll just cut over all the lanes real quick. So they put a big white sign, and of course, what does a white sign mean? It means illegally you have to follow it or else you might get a ticket. So they have a big white sign on the entry that says, do not change lanes to, or do not take Interstate 30 ramp or something like that. Which means it became a big enough problem that people were trying it all the time, but a sign's not gonna fit, like, in some ways, it's like you ever see a no U-turn sign and it almost kind of eggs you on, like, yeah, but I can make a U-turn. I mean, that's got to be for like people with like Suburbans and stuff. I got a little car, I can make the U-turn, you know. And so that sign kind of gave me that same emotion, right? Of like, don't try to use the Interstate 30 ramp. Well, but I'm quick. I could probably get that. Let's do it, you know, because I think the spacing's just so short. There's not enough time for people to get it. But if they rebuilt the viaduct, it could be exactly what they need it to be. It just would still be up high. If they rebuilt the viaduct and built that grid out, they could get rid of the frontage roads, and now you have surplus land to sell off. That's one of the cool things about all of these, is that none of these, some of them do make the freeway wider in terms of how many through lanes they have, but none of them take more land. They're able to take the old design and shrink it down enough that there might be like a 20-foot strip on each side of the freeway that you could sell out. Well, a downtown area, 20 foot may make the difference of a lot being too small to develop on and now being big enough you can build something on it, right? So that's not nothing. And so, but this, I think they rule this out because, again, that goal of saying, well, we want to get rid of that emotional barrier that splits downtown. Okay, so you can rule that out. No elevated alternative. So then you get to, I printed too many of these. I had to go to FedEx office because who wants to own a printer? And I think each one of these is now 75 pages. Wasn't that long ago, like my childhood, where it was like, what, 7 cents for black and white and maybe 15 cents for color? 77 cents for color. But I kept spending it. I'm like, oh, they might like to see that. They might like to see that. And they might like to see that. Someday I'll figure out if there's a way that I can just load these as like graphics and then just with YouTube, like pop them up. You know, you can do that with screen sharing on Zoom. What would be really cool, and I definitely is out of my league, get a drone up in the air and have it stream video to the phone, and then I can switch and narrate over the drone video live so you could see this viaduct. That would be, I got a great drone story to remind me later, I'll tell you. It's the day or two after the last live stream. Where's my, aha. So the saddest alternative of all, the depressed alternative, literally what they call it. Not because it's sad, but because you depress the freeway down low. This starts to open up some really neat ideas here, because if you can get the freeway to transition from being up high, where it meets I-30, and have it come down low, and then kind of in almost like it's a river. You've seen freeways like that are depressed, where they sit below the average ground height of the city. And so all these cross streets, they just cross right straight across as if the freeway's not even there. And then the freeway's, 20 feet below. It's kind of funny. Something that I saw Texas do coming over here on, I think it was Interstate 35E coming up here. So they put yellow warning signs up on overpasses to let truck drivers know how high the clearance is, especially if they're kind of low, because they want to make sure you don't strike the bridge. So there's one of those huge Texas flyovers that go up way up high and make like the 4th level of this interchange. And TxDOT put a warning sign on it. And I think it said something like 35 feet, 4 inches or something like that. And it was way up high, a bridge clearance, 35 feet, 4 inches. And I just laughed. I go, somebody in the TxDOT sign shop had to just be trolling us at this point, because what purpose is there to put a warning sign for an overpass that's 35 feet in the air? Anyway, I got a kick out of that. So here's the problem with the depressing alternative, because this is pretty cool otherwise, right? You get you try to shrink it down so you have extra land, you push it down low, the city streets can cross straight across. But there's a problem. To make those frontage roads work, you really have to have the streets cross kind of as close to a 90-degree angle as you can. And the problem is, it's just so there's some of these other streets, like Good Latimer, what we're talking about here, right where we're standing. Well, Good Latimer can't cross, because if you have a street crossing this way and they have a street crossing this way, it makes some weird intersections. They just can't make it all line up. So unbelievably, this really cool alternative that would be kind of a win-win, which is put the freeway down low, they had to rule it out. So what does that leave us left with? We'll talk about that in a second, after I get caught up on what you've been talking about. All right. So what we got? First of all, I think I saw there were some super chats here, but I got to figure out how to see super chats. Aha! Oh, where'd it go? I have to scroll through all of them. I thought there was a way to filter just the super chats. It's like I relearn this every single time. Oh, come on. I know there's more than one. Okay, well, we'll work our way backwards. B with a $3 super chat. Thank you very much, B. B writes, I definitely don't envy the Texas heat, nor should you. I've learned on this trip what dew point is. I used to just think there were like 2 conditions, normal and humid. And humid is bad, sort of like blizzard or, monsoon or typhoon, and, humid. And then there was normal, which is, you can leave the cereal bag open all night and it's going to be fine, Leave the bread bag open and you have toast. But what I've since learned is the temperature that the water falls out of the air is dew point. It starts to rain or turn into dew. And so when I was filming in Wyoming, I imagine their dew point was probably around 25 degrees. It was very dry. Places I tend to live, it's around 50 degrees, maybe 60 on a muggy day. Here in Dallas, it's 72. The dew point's 72 degrees, and I guess they can get down to Florida and the Keys and stuff. They can get out like 78, or just awful. But apparently, I guess at 60 you start to feel a little sticky. At 70 you start to feel uncomfortable, and we're at 72 today. Add in southwestern heat, or Texas isn't the southwest, isn't it? South Central. It's not anything. It's Texas. It's the center of the universe, right? Thanks for the super chat, B. Let's see. I know there's another one. And I'm gonna find it. Let's see. I'm gonna go back in time. I saw it. Train leader. Thank you. Train leader writes, where are you at in Dallas? I'll meet up with you. Well, I've never turned anybody away. So I'm in the Deep Ellum area. If you're just joining, talk radio, they call this a reset. Before the break, we were talking about taffy and why it's so expensive. This is Interstate 345 that splits downtown from Deep Ellum. And from 1968 until about 10 years ago, nobody cared because Deep Ellum wasn't a thing. But if we flip around and look at Deep Ellum, which is going to be interesting, it's all gentrified now. And there's fancy places to eat, sushi places and condos, and over there you got something that looks like some kind of a tech company building over there, you know. And of course you do have like Baylor Medical Center, and so it's not nothing. There definitely is stuff here. But now that we have people with money on this side of the freeway wanting to be connected to downtown, now there's talk of getting rid of it. But this could be a win because it'll let TxDOT build something that they want better. So yeah, so that's what's we got going on here. So yeah, thanks again for your super chat, Train Leader 21. Okay, and I know there was somebody before that. How do I see it? Maybe YouTube Studio. I'm learning. You know, it's funny, like when I was a kid, you know, late 1990s, Windows came out, and none of the old people, when I say old people, the people in their, you know, who were 40, knew how to make Windows work and double click and all that. So I just felt like a real hot shot because I could come in and all the older people, I could show them how to use the computer. And something happened just in the last like 5 years where I've gone from feeling like a hot shot. I think it was when Discord came out. I cannot figure out when I'm talking to friends on Discord how to hang up Discord. I have to completely reinvent the wheel and learn again. Like, okay, so I see the text chat, so I know I'm in a call, but where's the call? And heaven help you're on mobile. You start swiping back and forth, and people who are 20, they just get on Discord, clickety, 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 click, like I used to when I was 20, and I was able to impress all the old people. So now I'm at the point where I'm like, okay, well, how do so I go to community, and I go to, oh, the live stream's not on here. Huh. Content, and then it crashed. It's kind of fun to see that the Turnpike video that came out on Friday, I thought would really struggle to get anybody interested to watch, because who wants to see a video about obscure bonds and highway finance? But apparently a lot of people must like Oklahoma because it's done reasonably well. Let's see, I know there's a way to do this. This is a captivating video. Watching somebody who believes he's still young pretend that he's still young as he swipes through a phone and tries to figure out how to read a thing that he swore he saw, but now he swears he can't find. Maybe I have to be logged in as yeah, I swore there was a way to filter the super chats. And I missed one. I know there was one right at the beginning. I said, I'm going to come back to it. We're talking about it. And now I'm missing the other super chats. Now that's a bummer, because you go to a lot of trouble to figure out how on YouTube to take your hard-earned money that you worked hard, and by golly, you deserve some recognition. And so you send that super chat out, and Rob's over there and doesn't read it. And by the time he comes to read it, it's disappeared, and then he doesn't read it, and then you don't get the credit that you deserve. That's a bummer. Okay, Meantime, I will read the other one so we don't disappear. Alex, there's quite literally a giant red button in the Discord app to hang up. But where does it go? That's the problem. I get in a call. If I'm in the call, it's right there. But you don't stay in the call. You go back to the general chat. People are sharing YouTube videos. You do the goofy little golf game or whatever that's built into it. And then when I go back, and if I'm in my car, the button to hang up the call on the steering wheel doesn't work because it's Discord. So then I'm going 65 miles an hour and I'm swiping around Discord. Which I shouldn't be doing. I should be able to just hit the little hang up button, but it doesn't hang up. And you're right, there's a giant red button, but where does it go? Thanks for the super chat, Alex. I'm assuming from Canada. Anthony Peters, $2 for the bummer. It is a bummer, though, you know? I know it's more of a Gen X thing to say, but, like, you know? Like, I always thought it'd be funny, like, when Google first started coming out with the predictive text of, like, I think, maybe I saw this in a meme somebody made, but you see this just heart-wrenching text about somebody saying how a loved one of theirs had died or whatever, and then you have the suggestions at the bottom, and one of them just bummer. Oh, Joshua Sweet, the super chat. Thank you so much, Joshua. Joshua writes, you have to try some Texas barbecue. I haven't done that yet on this trip. So maybe tonight or tomorrow morning, depending. I have a feeling by the time we're done hanging out tonight that the barbecue places are going to be closed or definitely out, but I try to catch it for lunch. Pecan Lodge is 2 blocks away, and it's really good. Okay, I'll try it, because that part of it is knowing where to go, because barbecue is foreign to me, and evidently in the same way a lot of cuisines are foreign to Texas and the Southeast. And so I'm used to being able to find good Mexican food, good Chinese food, Thai food, but barbecue is just not a thing in LA. You know, there probably are a couple places, but it's just not a thing. And you can find bad barbecue pretty easily. And so to have somebody say, oh, go to this place, they've got good barbecue, then I don't mind. But the worst thing I want to do is go to some place, spend $22 and be like, well, that was disappointing, you know? So that's cool. Thank you, Joshua. Oh man, we got a few of them here. Madeline with a big super chat. Thank you very much, Madeline. Thanks for coming to Tulsa, old man. Well, you're welcome. You know, it's interesting. I'd never been to Tulsa before. And so that was toward the beginning of this trip, on my way. It wasn't quite on my way out, but it was toward the beginning of filming. I saw that the Oklahoma Department of Transportation had gotten their federal grant to fund completing the ramps, and that Tulsa Henge would disappear. And so I knew if there was a time to do that story, now is the time, because if I wait till next year to do the story, there won't be a Tulsa Henge. And the story just isn't quite the same of, like, you know, filming a regular freeway interchange ramp and be like, yeah, but this used to be really weird. And if I'd shown up earlier, you would have seen it. So it's cool to capture it right before it went away. And so, but Tulsa was fun. You know, for these stories to work, especially on location, I have to write the script after I've interviewed the person. So usually on the first day I'm there, you know, morning of the first night, after the first night, I go do the interview, and then I sit down for a day and a half and write. And part of writing might also be, okay, I got to bail out of the hotel. Let's go drive on this thing 20 times, right? Because you drive on it once, you get an impression. You drive on it again, you get another impression. You drive on it again, and over time you start to kind of get a rhythm and beat to how this thing works and what the town around it's like. And then the rest of the week I'm driving all over filming things, and I'm doing stand-up and trying to get it where it's kind of roughly put together in somewhat of a way I can work with it later when I get a chance to sit down and edit the video. And so as I'm driving around to go get lunch and go get dinner and run errands around Tulsa, you start to get a feel for the place in a way normally a person doesn't when they're just there for the night, you know, because they're driving through town and stop there for the night, you know. And so that's been a lot of fun to be able to start to kind of to feel the, what would the term be, personality of Tulsa. Like Oklahoma City and Tulsa have very different personalities. I mean, they're both Oklahoma. Somebody summed it up very well in a comment on the last video. They said, Oklahoma is sort of like fiercely independent, but doesn't brag about it. They want to do things the Oklahoma way. They don't want to do it the Texas way. They don't want to do it the Kansas way. They're going to do it the Oklahoma way. But they'd never tell you. They just kind of just quietly go do it. You know, like that kind of sums it up. So both towns have that, but Oklahoma City felt a little more, strangely, like I kind of got Las Vegas suburb vibes off of it, and I don't know why. But I was, especially the north end on that toll road, really kind of starting to make me feel like North Las Vegas a little bit. But which one has worse weather? That I don't know. But Tulsa has its own vibe to it. You know, the integration of Route 66 into the downtown as being like Tulsa's thing is really cool. The river that runs straight up toward the downtown, and says you're on Interstate 44 and you cross the river and you get that straight shot of the downtown. I so wanted to get a shot of that, but how do I stop on a freeway to film that? You know, I'm really glad I got a chance to go to Oklahoma. It was a lot of fun. So thanks again, Madeline, for the super chat. Spencer of the super chat, you should come to Phoenix on your way back and film the new I-17 flex lanes. It's a good idea, but I haven't been home since May. I'll check them out as I drive through, but I'm not going to film them yet. I want to, because then I'd be in Phoenix for 9 days. I don't want to do that. I want to go home. I'm tired. And August, at that point, it'd be early August. Is early August really when I want to film something in Phoenix? Like, if I'm going to film something in Phoenix, I didn't do it in like February, you know, and it's like nice. That said, part of this trip I got to almost miss a conference. So I flew from Tulsa, I drove to Tulsa, flew to Long Beach, went to the West Coast Traffic Engineers Conference, and then flew back. And while I was there, you have all the different vendors who are selling stuff. And one of the big things is wrong way detection. So as a car enters the freeway going the wrong way, you'll be able to pick up on it and go, oh, yeah, this car's going the wrong way. We got to turn on red lights to warn the driver. We ought to change the variable message signs on the freeway to warn people, hey, wrong way driver approaching, use caution. And most importantly, send a GPS coordinate of what ramp it is to all the highway patrol officers in the area and say, hey, Arizona Highway Patrol, somebody's coming on the freeway. And I just gave away the lead I'm burying. I asked the vendors, a lot of states are celebrating through press releases the work that they've made implementing wrong way vehicle detection on these ramps. Which state is sort of the pioneer, the one who's really aggressively attacking it? And they said, for now, Arizona. So that would make sense if I did an Arizona trip at some point in the near future, cover the flex lanes at the same time. Not a bad idea. You hear that? Tejano. Which is, that's got to be Texas, right? I mean, the TE and the sound that's kind of like an X, but it's a J. I don't know. Thanks for the super chat, Spencer. I appreciate it. Phoenix is close to home, so it'll come back round. Don't worry. Just not on this trip. Bennett! Oh, hi. Come on in.
Oh, okay. Hey, finally got to meet you.
Yeah, here, let's get you. Let's see. I'm going to flip the camera around. We're going to make the world backwards for a minute because I want to be able to make sure I can see you. Okay, so let's try not to turn this thing off. Flip it around. iPhone? No, cheap Android phone. Yeah. So So this thing is an absolute mess. I'm trying to figure out. I lost my original bracket on this trip. Okay, I'm just trying to not break that thing.
Put it in between there a little bit.
It won't go through.
It won't stay.
Yeah, and I don't want to unplug it again because it.
Yeah.
So let's here. I'll just kind of balance it for the minute. Come on in.
I can pull it up on my phone and then.
No, we're all good.
Okay.
So what brings you down? You just happen to be in the area.
Yeah. Well, I live right down the street.
Oh, do you?
So yeah, me and my wife, we moved from SoCal to here in like February.
Ah, you're one of the people who left.
Santa Clarita or something before?
I've never lived in Santa Clarita, but I have friends who are from there.
Oh, okay.
Is that where you guys moved from?
Yeah, we moved from the LA area. Like
I got an idea.
Before that, I lived in like Riverside area.
Come on, hold the phone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grab the other mic. I got an idea. And then don't forget and go home with the mic.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I've got a second mic here. If I can get it to turn on.
Oh, right, because you're on a.
Then we both can talk at the same time.
Here's a better idea. I could flip it and I could pull it up on my phone.
No, it's all right. Okay, all right. No, it's all good.
And then I can
Here,
pull it up
let
on
me
my
grab
phone
the
and make sure.
bell here so we can get
Sure.
you. Okay. All right. Well, we'll get this figured out. You have to tell me about. And remind me your name again.
Mark.
What's your name?
Mark.
Mark. So
Yeah.
tell me, is it true that your California license plate was unwanted when you first arrived? What's it like moving as a Californian
not really.
to Texas?
I mean, people don't really mind too much. Now, I'd say it kind of depends on like politics, you know, more like political.
So if you share the politics of your neighbors, then they don't mind so much. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to.
Yeah.
This thing's got a delay on it, so.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So what made you move out here?
Just politics, you know, California, just a complete mess.
Is
right
it?
out here?
Well, okay, well,
because
start giving me your top three. What do you not like?
Homelessness is the number one reason.
Well, there's homeless people here. I've seen them.
Not as bad as like San Francisco.
Okay, homelessness, but else?
And like overall like handling of things. I mean, it's pretty dirty and not always the best, but I think like overall public transportation is okay. Not the best, but like I drive anyways.
I'm sure people get stabbed on Dart.
Yeah.
Just like they do on Metro.
Yeah. I mean, of course, like LA is like really, really good, you know, metro-wise compared to other cities in the U.S. Probably, in my opinion, it's probably one of the best.
Right. Okay, so homelessness, you know, and kind of like public maintenance.
Yeah. Maintenance of like the highways and stuff it feels a lot better than California.
Well, but a lot of it's new. You know? And if you go, the thing is, Caltrans, if you get on a recently rebuilt freeway, it's top notch.
Yeah.
It's great. You know? But you end up on a county road. Out where I live, there's the border of two counties, Riverside and San Bernardino.
Yeah.
The street called County Line Road, and I'm trying to.
Oh yeah. Well, remember, I lived in Hemet and Moreno Valley.
Okay.
And all
Yeah.
that,
So you know.
I know where you are.
Okay. So you know County Line Road.
Yeah.
And it was in very terrible shape.
Yeah.
And the reason why is I think both counties thought the other county had it covered.
Yeah, that happens all the time in California. Yeah, it's always like, let me pay for this and let me pay for that, and then there's some things they just can't agree on.
Yeah,
that's like kind of sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a defender of California because I've lived in other states, and there's nothing more Californian than a native Californian who doesn't realize how good California is really, but because all places have problems, they just jump into the idea that California sucks, and then they, you know, but in fairness, you have moved away. Yeah. Where a lot of people I hear this from are native Californians who haven't left.
Yeah.
Oh, it sucks.
I mean,
the taxes are crazy, and I'm like, sales tax is the same when I lived in Utah. It was around 9%.
I mean, if you think about it, like the sales tax here is pretty similar to California. Now, the only difference is that there's no state income tax,
right?
Which helps, you know, at the end of the year.
Yeah, it depends how much you make.
But yeah, exactly.
So I have.
But at the same time, you make less here. That's exactly.
That's true.
So,
you know, in California, the type of career I have chosen, the progressive income tax has treated me very well.
Yeah.
Now that said, one could argue 0% is even better than a progressive tax. Except the tax finds you in other ways. I've heard friends who moved here from California. But they didn't move here for the politics. They didn't move here for the culture. They moved here because they could get a house here at a price they could afford.
Exactly. Yeah.
And in California, the house costs twice as much.
Yeah.
So here's the question: if a house in California costs the same as a house in Texas, where would you live?
Well, yeah, if it costs the same, I'd probably live in LA. Exactly.
Ah, ding, ding, ding.
But we was paying $3,300 a month in West LA.
Yeah,
and that's like, that's not feasible.
I'm saying for $3,300 here, you could be living in a very nice place versus.
Yeah, you live in like a 2 or 3 bedroom here for that price.
Yeah.
But at over there is like 1 bedroom if you're lucky in West LA.
And you're not gonna like what $33 gets you in LA. It's
no,
it's not. That's the reason I live way out San Bernardino County, right? You know,
we only pay $1,200 a month over here.
Oh, you pay $1,200 a month.
Yeah.
You get it's a decent place.
Yeah, and it's 1 bedroom, 750 square feet. That's even more square feet than we lived in the Bay Area for a year. Yeah. And that's even better than Concord, if you know where that's at.
Oh, okay, yeah. The Bay. Now, I will grant you that the Bay Area has special problems.
Yeah.
And so the Bay Area is. It's strange. I've never seen a place that I've wanted to live more than the Bay Area, and also vowed never to live in.
Yeah.
It just depends on my.
That's the same thing with us. Like before, we were thinking, I'm like, I don't really want to live there, but Concord is okay. Like I'd say Concord's like LA to SoCal in a way. Like it's like the politics are completely different. Everything's completely different.
If you call City Hall about the shrubs in the median have grown so big that I can't see and somebody's going to cause a crash, they might actually come out and cut it. Yeah. For LA, they're like, look, we get you. We want to trim it. We're just grateful it's not on fire. And it's not that I know I have friends who work for the city of LA. They want to do quality work.
Yeah,
but they have so much that they have to handle because all of the social ills of the other cities kind of get dumped on LA. Yeah. It's the city of last resort. When Culver City doesn't want to deal with unhoused people, they sort of just try to push them on the other side of the tent.
Exactly.
And
same thing with Santa Monica, same thing with all the other cities. They just want to push the homeless people away, and they all got to go somewhere.
Well, keep hanging on. I want to get to more of these super chats here before they disappear here. And we just had one from, I'm going to find it, Bennett Miras, and I'm going to brag about Bennett here for a minute. Okay. So Bennett lives in Greenville, South Carolina. Have you heard of Greenville, South Carolina? What do you know about it? Because I hadn't heard of it.
Upscale city. I guess it's kind of like a Dallas kind of city. I guess is what I'm guessing. But it's more country compared to this. Way more country.
Well, it's South Carolina, right?
South Carolina.
But I hadn't heard of it at all. In fact, when I booked my hotel, when I was on my way through, because I was on my way to Atlanta to film, I stopped for a night because Bennett sent an email and had a pitch of like, this could be a good story. And I thought, okay, well, I'll stop for a night and he can kind of show me what this town's about. Yeah. I had to go back to the email and double check, is it Greenville, North Carolina or South Carolina? Because I didn't know.
Oh, wow.
And, but Greenville, South Carolina has, and this is South Carolina. Yeah. It's a very purple place politically. Yeah. It's a red state.
So it's kind of like an LA.
Well, no, it's not an LA. It's LA's pretty blue.
Yeah, well, I used to live in LA. I think LA is kind of like half and half.
Well, okay.
When you talk to the locals,
if you want to get into that, here's the secret. Everywhere is purple. I grew up in Utah, and there's a heck of a lot of Democrats in Utah, even though it's reliably red, right? I live in California. There are more Republicans in California by volume than there are in most red states combined. Yeah, right. But it's reliably blue. Yeah. Because all it is we all kind of want the same things. We just tip 55-45 one way or the other. Yeah, exactly. Right? So, but that said, where the politics of a region don't lend itself to bicycling, Greenville, South Carolina has an enormous amount of bicycling. Okay. It's got a downtown that follows good urban design principles, and a mayor who did not roll out good urban design principles because he wanted to help the climate or do altruistic things like you'd see in Seattle. Yeah. He did it because it's good for business in Greenville.
Oh, that's good.
He realized if you bring in condos, your downtown's not going to die, because it's sort of like when you have farming. If you only plant one crop, and then some type of weevil comes in and eats that crop, even though it was really efficient to grow that one kind of crop, you're out of business because a disaster happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And it did.
Oh, that's good.
Right, you have COVID in all the downtowns, probably a lot of Dallas, relied so much on office. Downtown LA did. There's not a lot of condos in downtown LA.
I'll be right back. I gotta make sure to pay the thing because.
Oh yeah, don't get a ticket. If you do leave, bring the mic back.
Oh yeah. I'll bring it back.
I'll tell you what, leave the mic so that way if you get yammering over there, are you just paying right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Just know you're on mic, so people are gonna hear you. So, anyway, that's the pitch for Greenville is in a place where you're not expecting good urban design principles, where you're not expecting a big bicycle trail network. It's there, and it's in South Carolina. Yeah, I just thought that way where'd the magnet go? Oh, okay, thank you. Just make sure I don't lose it. They sell the magnets on Amazon like crazy because, go ahead and turn this off here. Is that the right button? Uh-oh. So I'll make sure you're not hearing me twice. Anyway, in a place you're not expecting it, sort of like almost like a sequel to Carmel, Indiana, except Greenville's a lot prettier. It's hills and trees and humidity. Okay, let's see. Where are we at here? We have more. Oh, we've got more. I just got to find where I left off. Okay. Wyoming Cowboy, how much did you spend with a double digit, by the way? Thank you, Wyoming Cowboy. Right? How much did you spend on tolls filming the Turnpike video? That's funny. You mentioned that. So originally I drove back into Tulsa and I just did pay by plate. But because the next day I went and interviewed at the Turnpike Authority, they said, oh, you probably ought to get a Pike Pass. So I set it up, and because the pay-by-plate takes a few days to run through their system, they were able to get it onto the account. So I haven't looked at the statement yet, but I know to open a Pike Pass account, you have to put $40 on it. And I burned through it because it charged it back up with another $40. And then I think I burned through quite a bit. It hasn't recharged yet, but and from what I understand, the Pike Pass works here in Texas. So I used it today, and it is night and day how I can drive from Tulsa to Oklahoma City, and I think the tolls were around $6 to go an enormous distance. Maybe it was more than that, but it wasn't too bad. What we got going on over here? There's a whole bunch of people on bikes. I don't know if you can from the distance there. And crossing the street there. Not the kids on scooters, but anyway. You're back. Okay, you want the mic some more?
I paid for 9 hours.
9 hours? I did something similar.
That's crazy. It only gives you one option.
Oh, that was the only option? Hopefully it wasn't enormously expensive. How much was it? 'Cause I paid $13.
$5.30.
$5 for 9 hours?
Yeah.
Oh man, I paid 13 and I was right over. All right.
Oh no, yeah, that's why. Because that's like one of those things where they have
Oh well.
They probably have a guy hidden in a
booth
behind.
Put your
wall.
mic back on.
Like usually behind those walls, they have like security and stuff too.
Oh well, that means if they're not breaking, then people won't break into my car. Then I'm good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we were just talking with Wyoming Cowboy, wanting to know how much I spent on tolls for the Tulsa video, or the Oklahoma City video. And oh, that's right. No, I filmed that in Oklahoma City. So, been a long trip. I've been a lot of places. So it's probably about $40 worth of tolls.
Oh man,
you know, just from all the driving around different places.
I don't even drive that much in a week here.
Well, here you can get $40 tolls real quick because in Fort Worth this morning, I took the Tex Express lanes to 287, which is like 4 miles, and it was $4. It was enormously expensive. It probably wasn't quite that bad, but it was a lot. And so I do appreciate that. I think that's why I'm a little more positive about the tolls in Oklahoma City, or the toll rate per mile is not too bad.
Oh, okay.
So
I mean, we don't really go to Fort Worth too much. We mostly go up to like, you know, Plano and stuff like that. So
Right.
it's usually not too bad.
Yeah.
Like, if you
Well,
have to go
I think Texas, and this would have to be its own video because there's an enormous amount of complexity to it. But from what I understand, almost every toll road is in its own different toll authority, different financing deals, different arrangements. And so because a lot of it's still pretty new, it's stuff that's built in the last couple of decades, there isn't a lot of equity paid down on it yet. There's not a lot of you know, money to leverage, and so the prices are high. The same way the Turner Turnpike, the first Oklahoma Turnpike, was very expensive when it was new because it had nothing to balance against. And so I think that makes it, I could see why tolls are politically unpopular in Texas. What's funny though is you go back to the 80s and they realized they needed to build all these freeways around Dallas-Fort Worth, and so they didn't want to raise significant gas taxes or sales tax measures, so they did tolling, and now tolls are unpopular.
Yeah.
So it's kind of ebbs and flows of what people are interested
what
in.
people want, yeah. That's at least better than raising up gas prices, because we all know no one's going to approve of that here in Texas anyway, and that's a complete no-no for people.
Nobody's going to what?
You know, people here in Texas, they don't want their gas prices risen, so you got to like...
Oh, yeah. The slightest little burp in the old oil market could push it up $1, and we complain for about a week, and then you adjust to it because, oh, boo-hoo, now I'm paying $3.40 instead of $2.50.
Yeah.
It's just like objectively cheap. Like if you look at the history of...
Oh, yeah. I mean,
like,
Santa Monica...
How do you get the gas out of the ground at $2.50 a gallon?
Yeah, exactly.
That's my question. Oil field workers, so they just work for free? Like the gas has to be expensive enough that you can pay the people to actually refine it and get it out of the ground, and the equipment, and the trucks,
I mean, I'm definitely not complaining if it goes up that much, because I used to live in California anyway.
Right.
It's $5-6 a gallon in LA.
Well, the dirty secret in California is there are air quality issues that require having to blend the gasoline with certain additives, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
When you have 18 million people all living in a bowl together, you have to use a special blend all summer long.
You should make a video about that.
And probably at some point.
Yeah.
I just, who do I talk to, you know? But,
there are probably some people from Cali you could talk to.
Right, well, it's just they're willing to talk objectively about it, or are they just going to just, anyway.
Yeah, blow heat up.
But if everybody's in a bowl together, but that means California is its own kind of separate oil market.
Yeah.
Because you have only certain refineries that make that product. Now, if California could use the same gasoline as anywhere else, the price would be more similar to everywhere else because you could just import it out. Yeah. Another dirty secret, Salt Lake City is similar, except theirs is in the winter. So all the fuel that burns in the winter in Salt Lake City, because it's 2 million people in a bowl, they have to use a special blend. And so as Salt Lake City grows, if the refinery capacity doesn't grow with it, or we don't switch to electric vehicles and reduce our consumption, you're going to end up with the same problem where it's enormously expensive. Are you coming by to say hello?
I am.
Come on in.
I got the heads up that Road Guy Rob was live in Dallas.
That's cool. You got your bus shirt there? So.
Yeah. This is the...
Oh, the magnet. Did you drop the magnet?
Magnet?
No, he took his mic off.
Oh.
See if you can find it. Well, while he's looking for the magnet, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Hexel, Colorado. I run the local Strong Towns local conversation here.
Ah, so you're Strong Towns person.
Yes, so our group's called Dallas Urbanists. We have a website and everything, and I'm wearing many hats today. So right now I'm wearing my Parking Reform Network hat. I got my Dallas Area Transit Alliance t-shirt. This isn't an advocacy thing, this is just my mascot. But.
As I said, does that mean you own a Jeep? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I don't know.
Have a little duck?
I don't. Oh, I know what you're referring to. I don't own a car at all, actually.
Is that it?
I've been living in Dallas without a car for the last 4 years.
Hey, you found it. Okay. Oh, it's all. I don't. Wipe it off on my shirt. It's all good. All right. Just gonna wipe it off. sidewalk here. So the parking reform network, does that mean that we need to make reform parking by making the spaces bigger so we can get the bigger cars in there?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. So we actually, in Dallas, we actually just passed a major parking reform amendment.
Right.
So in Dallas, downtown Dallas right now, we have eliminated all parking minimums within downtown, this central business district. Now we still have parking minimums in other parts of the city, but they're significantly reduced. And I think one of the biggest successes of our reform is that within a half mile of all light rail stations, there are no minimums. So you see all these DART trains, everywhere that DART train stops, no parking minimums within a half mile.
Yeah, then which makes some sense, because the idea of a parking minimum to begin with was, well, there used to be no parking requirements because there were no cars. Right? And then, well, all of a sudden, like in a period of 10 years, everybody bought a car. People actually wear cowboy hats. That's cool. I'm actually in Texas.
Yes.
You can't see it on camera, but that's cool. That's on. Do you have the magnet? Okay, I'll tell you what, we're going to flip this on. I'll tell you what, if you want to put that behind the shirt and then this in front.
I was wondering what the deal was with this magnet.
Yeah,
like
and it helps hold it in place. And then when you take it off, if you drop it, you find it.
All right, yeah.
That's the deal. And you found it, so. So we'll come back to parking minimums in just a second. Let's take a look
I've
here.
been trying to kill this highway for a long time.
Let's talk about that here in just a second here. Okay, so we've got, so we talked with Bennett about Greenville. Thanks again for with Wyoming Cowboy about tolls. James Wise, I missed yours, with a big double-digit super chat. Thank you, James. James writes, 20 years ago, Club Utopia in Deep Ellum didn't let me in because of my shoes, and I still hold a grudge. So it sounds like Deep Ellum, has it been kind of trendy for a while then? It didn't just recently gentrify, did it?
Well, Deep Ellum as a neighborhood has been around since the beginning, so this is one of our historic neighborhoods.
I mean, you go back and look at aerial photography, it was continuous from downtown through forever. But I'm of the assumption that 1968, maybe it was a little more run down, and that's why they felt justified cutting straight through.
Well, this is a great topic, because it wasn't run down by the time the highways came through. The highways came through, and that's what caused it to be run down.
Well, I'm sure that both happened, but a lot of times where I've seen where they've routed freeways, they were trying to find the cheapest spot.
And Deep Ellum was a massive neighborhood of color. A lot of black people own the properties here.
That could be part of it. I mean,
they were, at the time, you're right, it was, the rationale was that it was run down, but at the time, that didn't mean run down as in no one was there or people were leaving. It meant run down as in a lot of black people lived there and worked there. And so
it was the old redlining era where banks would say, oh, well, we want our loans to be low risk, and they just assumed out of ignorance or racism or whatever that if a person of color had the house, that it must be a risky loan because they're the type of people they might not pay it back, so we won't give them a loan. And then they take an entire section of town, just mark it no loans, and this area would have been redlined.
Yes.
Okay.
Redlined intensively. And so what's sad is that there's a lot of Dallas had existed for 100 years prior to the highway coming along. And so there's 100 years of history where right where the highway is now, there's a portion of the neighborhood called Stringtown. And what was really sad was that it was a very integrated part of the city because it combined the black community in the east to the white downtown.
So the downtown side was more historically white, and this area was more historically of color.
Yes.
And the freeway was where everything kind of blended together.
Well,
before the freeway got tore it out.
Right. I mean, you look at the name, Deep Ellum.
Keep talking. I got to get water, but I'm listening.
So even if you look at the name, Deep Ellum, where did that name come from?
Well, from what I understand, it's Elm Street, right?
Right. It's deep on Elm Street. So Elm was a kind of evolution of Elm over time. And the deep refers to how you have to go deep into the city, deep on Elm. And so if deep relative to where? Well, the starting point was Union Station, where the railroads converged, and you would get off your train, or heck, even if you were coming from the airport, your train would take you from the airport to Union Station.
This was the old Love Field days, right?
Yeah, and so if you were to go deep into the city, then you would arrive at Deep Ellum. And so that's where the name comes from. And so this has always been part of that larger fabric. I mean, even the founder of, of the city, like John Neely Bryant, like his property, like like suburban home by suburban standards in like, in the 1800s would have been on the opposite side of Deep Ellum.
I need to address something in the comments that just came up. One user U-Haul points out, it says DEI angle, and I just want to address it straight on for a minute. The goal of this is not to try to push any ideology, but the concept of this is that somebody living on this side, somebody living on that side, are both Americans who pay taxes. Right? And if you end up with a situation where it's broken, where somebody on this side has access to banking and loans and somebody on this side doesn't, purely on the basis of anything, race, religion, or whatever, that's something you got to fix, or else you're going to break your society. You're going to turn into South Africa. South Africa tried. They tried to say, no, we can make a divided society work, and it ended up with enormous crime and a lot of lost opportunity, because when half of the population can't participate in the economy fully, you drag the whole economy down. It's worse for white people too. They're having to live in gated communities because poverty gets so bad on the black side that their houses are getting broken into, and in turn, like I say, a lot of really talented people who are black were not able to get an education and be able to contribute to the economy, and their contributions to society would benefit everybody of any color. And that's the wisdom in the United States that we've had and we're growing into since the founding, is realizing that if we become a place where American just means American, whether somebody's from Germany or Nigeria or Indonesia or whatever, and they come here and they're here for several generations, and everybody could just get in and contribute. Everybody can learn and grow and participate. We prosper enormously. Please. Yeah, don't lose the magnet.
Yeah, no.
Tell you what, do you want me to hang on to the magnet? Then you just pass the mic back and
so
forth.
So if I give my 2 cents on this one, so
sure.
I would say, when was the freeway built?
1968.
Okay.
So it was probably from plans that were many years before that.
Yeah, of course.
So probably designed in the 50s.
And the city was founded in 1841. So about 120 years had passed in city history.
Yeah.
Fair Park had already existed. All of these historic towns, Bishop Arts, Lower Greenville, everything that makes Dallas put Dallas on the map had already existed before the highway did.
Oh, I guess so, but things that put it on the map today aren't the same as they did back then.
Things do change.
Yeah, things do change. I was saying that Dallas was a
But I wouldn't say this is
highway.
particularly stopping blacks from whites.
Not today. No.
Together,
and actually, the interesting point. Actually, I don't need the mic. I've got my own. The advantage of it being mine. The one concern a person could look at today is that if this thing totally disappears, are there vulnerable, and I'm not going to call it out based on race, religion, creed, or whatever, but we'll call it vulnerable populations. People are probably poor, right?
Yeah.
People who end up working enormously hard and get very little out of it. Hotel cleaning staff and that sort of thing, who have employment up there but housing down there, or vice versa, and are part of that 85% of the traffic on this thing out of 180,000 cars who go straight through, right? Do we accidentally, in our effort to create a nice amenity here for people of means, once again subsidize us, people of means, by taking away something that's critical to the economic well-being of somebody who's, and I think that's something that I'm really impressed TxDOT and the city of Dallas put into their feasibility study, is trying to say, we're going to build something, let's not accidentally make it, because I think in 1968, they thought that there was no downside to this. I think they thought that it was eliminating blight, creating economic opportunity or whatever. Yeah. But we know in the eye of hindsight, it created a lot of problems.
Right. Well, first of all, man, there's so much to unpack with this topic. So I got really excited that you came down.
Good. I'm glad you came in because how long you grew up here?
I was born. You see that Baylor Scott?
Yeah.
I was born there.
So we've had a local expert show up who's passionate about urban issues and development. And you actually know stuff, so you don't have to hear me just say, "Oh, I don't know, maybe they do this."
Oh yeah,
this is great.
So working our way backwards on what you just touched on. So when they thought, the decision makers at the time,
Texas Highway Department,
thought it was a good idea and they didn't see a downside. But the people that were not part of that decision making process, the neighborhood was displaced, and Deep Ellum itself at the time, they knew it was going to kill the neighborhood. And they knew it so well that when they started building the highway, when they broke ground construction, they had a funeral for Stringtown public event where they carried a coffin representing the neighborhood through the streets as a parade.
Had I known, I would have looked that up and printed that out of the newspaper archives.
Yeah, and so, there's a guy named Jerry Hawkins who had a group called Dallas Truth and Social Healing, and so he's documented all of this, and he's talked about it a lot. And so when you're going home and you're pulling up your B-roll, also I'll give you my information so that you can follow up with questions after if you're curious. So that's the first thing. It's like people who were in the neighborhood knew
this was going to be a problem.
And then on the topic of jobs, so you've done your homework, so you've seen the 180,000 number, but that's a pre-COVID number.
Well, it'll be a post number again pretty soon. I've watched LA, which is one of the laggy ones, come back in a huge way. It's not fun to drive in LA like it was 3 or 4 years ago.
Right. So I'm not going to hinge my next point on whether or not it goes up or down, but I do want to make the point that it is based on old data about how people commute and get around the city.
Right.
And so maybe it'll go up, maybe it'll go down. But one thing we also know is that, so we talk about jobs being over there, i.e. north of 30, and housing being the south. And so when we talk about neighborhoods being run down, not by the time of the highway, but because of the highway, a neighborhood significantly impacted by this is what we call South Dallas, or South Dallas proper being the area immediately around Fair Park. And in South Dallas and Southern Dallas, we have, you may have heard this term, a grocery desert. So they don't have access to...
Food desert where there's not easy access to groceries. Right.
And so part of the reason that there's this dichotomy of where people live versus where they work is because where they work, those job opportunities are not immediately available in their neighborhoods.
Because when people go to select a place to live, they're not thinking like an urban planner. They're thinking survival, and they're just saying, look, I'm moving in with my brother-in-law because he has an extra bedroom and rent to me for $600 a month to work. Like, that's what they're thinking.
Right.
And the car is just their spaceship that allows them to connect employment to whatever housing's available to them.
Right.
And so that's one of the challenges is there's a lot of stuff on paper that sounds good of saying, well, let's build a bunch of affordable housing right next to their job. I'm all for it. Where is it? That's the problem. You never can get enough, because every time you try to build a project that's like, it's going to be 20% affordable subsidized units. Okay, but that's until you start building projects that are 80% affordable and 20% luxury, you never get there. I want to circle back to this, but I need to address some of the chats here.
Sure.
Because you're part of this conversation too. So Jacob writes with the super chat. Thanks, Jacob. I grew up in Austin and moved to the Bay Area. I regretted it immensely and moved back. The only thing I liked more about California than Texas was the natural beauty. Yeah, and California's got that advantage where you'll always have rich people in California no matter what. Because for every Elon Musk who says I'm leaving and never coming back and sells his house, guess who bought his house? Another rich person. So California's gonna be just fine.
Also, we've always had rich people in Dallas. I mean, we've had Mark Cuban.
Oh yeah, there's rich. Warren Buffett, isn't he out of Omaha, Nebraska, right? So there's rich people in every city.
Yeah.
So
I mean, this is not a shill to rich people or anything, but I would make the observation that if you didn't have at least a few rich people in your city, then you wouldn't have a city.
Right.
This is not to glorify rich people, just kind of making a point that like they go where the wealth is, and if there wasn't any wealth there, you wouldn't have a city.
Well, and the goal, my goal of California is that Texas cannot be California's affordable housing plan. Right. California needs to, and there's some progress. There'd be a whole another conversation that we can't get to right now about reforming NEPA, or sorry, not NEPA, the California CEQA, which has allowed people who probably don't care about the environment so much as they do care about stopping a project near their house, to abuse the court system to kill development, and that's caused California to underproduce for a very long time. And particularly stuff that could be very sustainable, like I'm going to tear down a Kmart and build a shopping on the bottom, all the parking hidden in garages, it's near transit, like really nice infill type development, gets killed because somebody sues it to death. Those some changes to that. But anyway.
Well, that also happens here in Dallas. Like when I started,
and you guys don't even have a CEQA.
Yeah. Well, when I got started in advocacy, it was 2022. I got involved with this group called Dallas Neighbors for Housing, and the very first thing that
so you've been in advocacy very recently, then.
Recently in the
cared about it for a long time. I assume, but
long time or a short time, just compared to how long other people have been in it. So for me, going on 4 years almost.
Where is the super chats? Yeah, please. In the meantime, I'm trying to find.
So, I don't really agree that this is necessarily separating people, because I'm kind of more on the conservative side on that. I do say that, I think public housing and different stuff like is important, especially no matter what the state is. I know, like, for example, we were living in West LA, and one of the really, really dumb laws they have in LA is like for however many like affordable housing units they have in an apartment building, they could have like 50% of whatever space for that apartment unit. So instead of having one that's like 0.5 on like a paper.
Oh, for parking?
Yeah.
Well, the challenge with minimum parking in Los Angeles is oftentimes there isn't adequate transit to be able to move the travel around. The travel doesn't just disappear, right? So cars allow people access to be able to get to their job.
Yeah.
In absence of there being something else, right? So California for a very long time, probably till the 80s, they said, well, we're gonna just drive everywhere. And worked pretty well until it didn't. And then now it might make sense to do something like that if you're next to a heavy duty metro line, and along that metro line is a lot of heavy duty employment. And so you go, well, maybe you still have some parking available because people who live there might live where else. But a lot of this complex, these condos and apartments might cater to people who live along the line and work along the line, so we don't need as much parking. But simply reducing the parking requirement without having transit to push the mobility to doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
So the magical thing you can do, what if you build a parking garage where the levels are flat?
Yeah.
So when you first build the building, you have lots of parking. But as the neighborhood urbanizes and as fewer people need to park there, you can convert that second story of parking into more condos or offices or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And eventually, 100 years from now, building's still there, nobody needs to drive anymore, you can convert the ground floor.
Yeah,
and so if you make the parking flat, you can be planning ahead for the future.
But they don't think it like that in LA.
Well, I want to touch on responding to your point about. I want to respond to your point about like the conservative angle of this. And so the cost to rebuild and retrench the highway 345, knowing, especially understanding that they don't have an option to just leave it as it is, because it's 50 years old. It's going, it's already reached the end of life. And it costs them hundreds of millions of dollars each year just to keep it standing. So so they don't have an option to just leave it alone. But then if you look at the cost of trenching it,